Welcome to Body by Design. I'm your host, Blue Driver, a women's strength training and metabolism coach. I went from years suffering hormone imbalances, looking soft and bloated, to symptom-free and building muscle for a toned athletic physique. Since then, I've made it my mission to empower women to take control of their own health, hormones and body composition. So grab a cup of coffee and let's build your body by design.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Body by Design podcast. I'm Lou Driver, your host, and today we are going to be talking about the body recomposition lie you have been sold in the fitness industry. Before we get started, this podcast is growing fast, and I have also had a lot of new followers on my Instagram. So if you are new to my podcast, please subscribe below, and it helps me get this podcast into more women's hands that need it. And then also, if you find anything in this podcast that you've really loved or has been helpful for you, feel free to share on your Instagram and please tag me at strengthtraining.nutritionist. I always appreciate that. So let's get into it. The body recomposition lie you have been sold in the fitness industry. So let's define body recomposition. Okay, so body composition is your body made up of, when we're talking in physique terms, we're talking about your body being made up of a percentage of body fat and lean body mass. And when we don't have the body composition that we want, we might look soft, we might carry extra, what we refer to as weight. And we don't look the way we want to look. And if we want to change that look to be a more muscular, sculpted, firm, shapely look, the popping shoulders, larger glutes, defined legs, we're looking for more muscle and less body fat. So more lean mass and less body fat. Now, most of you are already training. We know that. Okay, so you've been training, but you can't get the body composition that you really want. We are sold in the fitness industry that body recomposition. So body recomposition is when we change that ratio of body fat to lean mass. So wherever you are currently now, you've got a body fat percentage that's slightly higher and a lean mass that is slightly low for what your desired outcome wants to be. So if you want to do body recomposition, you want to flip that and give yourself more lean mass and less body fat. And the actual definition of body recomposition is being implied in the fitness industry that you can do that at the same time. It's actually not an entire lie that you can body recomp. Okay, so we can do body recomposition. The thing is it is sold to us as the holy grail and that everybody should be able to do it. And that's the part that's not the truth. Okay. Yes, there's plenty of studies out there that have shown that you can actually do body recomposition and it does work. And we know it does work. All right. So maybe saying that, it's the lie sold to you. It's the perception of what it is that is the actual lie that's sold, so to speak. So where does body recomposition work really well? Where we can train and our body drops fat and builds muscle at the same time, which is amazing. The first place is newbies to training. So if you're under 2 years in training experience, then you should be able to body recomp fairly easily. So we get out in the first year or two of training. So particularly in the first year is what they refer to as newbie gains, like your body, because it hasn't been put underneath that adaptive response of stress before. It literally just responds really, really well. And you're very low in mass. So your body is like, we like this. It's more we're gaining muscle. We've got more places to put our glucose. It improves our blood sugar, our insulin resistance, we're stronger, we're healthier. So your body really likes that in the beginning and it adapts very quickly and you grow you change lean mass, increase your lean mass quite quickly. And if you are super accurate with your macros, and in body recomposition, you actually have to be super accurate because you're treading that fine line of going over into surplus and going too far under where it becomes a deficit and you don't gain muscle mass anymore. And the further down your training career or your training age, as it's referred to, training age, that you go down, the line is finer and finer and finer. Okay. So essentially, it's kind of like eating at maintenance, but you might just be slightly under if you've got a higher training age, but you're eating at maintenance. But because you are forcing your body to adapt under a stimulus, which is your training stimulus, once you've nailed training and we're doing it in the correct way, I have the FIRE method, which is form, intensity, recovery, and evolve. And once you're applying all those principles and the stimulus is correct for your body, it will grow that lean mass. And because it's growing that mass and it requires a fair bit of energy to actually grow that mass, that you start moving out of that true maintenance and it starts using body fat because your body fat is a little bit higher. And when you start actually making your body really healthy, it will pull down on the body fat. So this is how you can change your body composition simultaneously. So this is body recomposition. So if you are a newbie in the first year or two of training, body recomposition actually is possible, okay? And quite easily possible. The other one is having a higher body fat percentage, and you can be further down the training age and still be able to recomp, particularly when you have a higher body fat percentage, like closer to the 30% or more. Now, generally, people who are 30% and above are people who haven't been training, and that's why their body fat has gotten to that place, or they are eating in surplus calories, and that's why they've gained a lot of body fat. So, but body fat is unhealthy on the body and it's a stress on the body. And our body actually doesn't like sitting there. It prefers to be in a healthier range, which for women I see is around that 20-25%. The health organizations will tell you it's 25 to 30%. But in reality, when we look at 20 to 25%, I see women a lot healthier and energetic at the 20 to 25. So let's call it 25%. When you're beyond that, it puts a stress on your body and your body actually does want to get rid of it. So when you stop forcing it with too many calories and you start nurturing it and you start getting movement in and the muscle mass starts building, it goes, great, let's use this body fat. And it's got a lot of body fat to pull from and it will force the change a lot easier. And also, it takes when you're a heavier weight, you require a higher level of calories, so a higher base of calories to maintain weight. So women who have maybe been overeating and say, they're eating 2,500 plus calories and their body just isn't in a position to be burning that much fuel. So as a woman at 169 centimeters and I'm fairly strong. So yes, I meet all those strength markers of being able to deadlift 100 kilo plus, those sorts of things. I eat 2,400 calories around there. Probably 2,400 calories is what I eat to maintain my body. But that's with a lot of muscle and with really intense training and 10,000 steps a day. So if a woman isn't training hard and they're not getting those steps in and they're eating 2,500 to 3,000 calories, this is where the body fat is going to be going up. So all of a sudden, and they don't realize they're actually eating that much. They think that they're eating really well, but they're eating high in fat, low in protein, and high fat foods are actually quite caloric dense and they're not measuring their food. So when they go, oh yeah, I had about half a cup, it's probably closer to 3/4 to a cup or whatever whatever measurement we're going to use. And they tend to be eating a lot more than what they realize. If you actually looked at what a serve of, and I'll use peanut butter. I fucking hate peanut butter and it's not something I recommend. And no, it's not a protein source, but I'm going to use this as an example because it's a typical fitness industry food for some fucking reason. Someone grabbed hold of it and said peanut butter's fantastic. And it's actually not. It's not that good for you nutrition wise and also calorie wise. But if you looked on the back of a bottle of peanut butter and had a look at what a serve is, you're probably having 2 or 3 serves. So a woman who is overeating is potentially having 2 or 3 serves. So their estimation of a serve is bigger. So they're actually eating a lot. And then when they get with a coach who goes, okay, we're going to make sure that your calories are increased and you're fueling your body and you're feeling really good. And they put them on 2,000, 2,100 calories. And all of a sudden they get this body recomposition. They go, oh my God, I can't believe I'm eating so much more. And my body's recomping, when in reality, they're actually not eating more and they're actually not eating. So recomp is when you're eating at maintenance and your body changes. For women who have a higher body fat percentage, it's going to be perceived as body recomposition, but it's actually not. You're eating in a slight deficit because to maintain your weight, you're probably, because you're larger, you are probably a lot higher than that in your caloric base. But you're able to survive quite readily without having massive hunger cues and lags in energy by being in a slight deficit that pulls your body fat down for you. But then you also introduce training, because these people are typically not training. So you introduce training and they get that newbie stimulus where they can actually grow the muscle at a deficit. So essentially they are not recomping, they are growing muscle under a deficit due to being a newbie and just genuinely getting their body healthy again, and their body wants to let go of the fat. So this is where the deception or perception, whichever way you want to look at it, is around about body recomping, the process of doing it simultaneously. So body recomposition can also be, I spent a period at maintenance and built some muscle, and then I went into a deficit and my body composition changed. But for the purpose of this episode, when I refer to body recomposition, I'm talking about that process of building lean mass and losing body fat at the same time. So that's when it works. And maybe you're someone who has been trying to do body recomp for quite some time, and you're wondering why the hell it's not working and why your body isn't changing and you still look soft. You know, you're holding that body fat. You don't have those popping shoulders. You don't seem to be getting any stronger. And you might fall into one of these categories, which the first one would be experience. So how long have you been placing a stimulus on your body with strength training? Because once you get beyond that 2 years, once you get beyond those strength markers of being quite strong, it does get a lot harder to do a body recomposition. It's not impossible, but it's not an easy process. I'm going to leave advanced lifters out of this. So if you're truly a big advanced lifter, or you want to gain muscle at a much more rapid rate, you would go into a build, which is a slight surplus. So you see people going to stage and things like that. They spend quite amount of time eating in a surplus and gaining weight. So, and they do gain body fat with that as well. So they know that they are maxing their body lean mass by I'm maxing it out with stimulus. The food is creating it, and it's just a little bit too much that I'm adding body fat slowly as well. And then they pull that body fat down. So you have to be really careful in a build process not to actually overshoot and put on too much body fat, because if your body fat goes up too fast, then you've got a really hard job getting that done. You only just need to just tip over in a build phase, because that means that because your body can only create so much muscle at one time. And then once it's not muscle, it's just going to create excess body fat. So you only need it to be creeping up a little bit. So again, tracking your data, ladies, that is one of the biggest ways to tell, am I in recomp? Am I building lean mass? Am I losing body fat? You want to track your numbers in your strength, in your measurements, in your photos, in your lean mass, and in your body fat percentage. We track all of that in midlife hot and sculpted mentorship. I teach all my women to track all of that. So if that's something that you're not familiar with, it could be a missing piece to the puzzle in your training and to why you're not changing that body or why you're not getting that health that you really want. And it is a lot about the data and getting very specific. So if that's something that you're interested in learning and taking control of in your body, we teach that in the Midlife Hot and Sculpted mentorship. So have a think about that. You can always reach out to me on Instagram if you're interested. Just message me the word sculpted and I will have a chat to you. But really, we're talking about the experience. And once you get to a point where you're an intermediate trainer, it's going to be harder. So, 2 years plus, it's going to be a lot harder to build muscle and be in that recomp state. And you're going to want your body to be really, really optimal. So, this is another thing we focus on in the mentorship is about optimizing your health. So, your hormones, your gut health, your sleep, your energy, the way you structure your food. So, regulating your food. So you're fueling training, you're balancing your blood sugar, you're improving your insulin sensitivity, then also the types of foods to make sure that as a woman who is strength training, we have particular nutritional needs, particularly for our metabolic health. And a lot of women aren't hitting those markers on the traditional chicken, rice, and broccoli, lots of salads and kale fitness industry myth that they are very healthy for you. So that's another thing that we do in the mentorship is to optimize your body. So if you're more of an advanced trainer, so if you've been training beyond 2 years, you're going to find it a lot harder to recomp. Not impossible, but you want to be optimal. You need to ensure that you're training structure and the way you train and the frequency and the volume of your training. So all these different things, how many sets, how often you get into the gym, how many movements are you doing, how much rest time do you have between. They're all things that aid our recovery, and there is no one rule for everyone. It is different, and I've had women do a 4-day upper and lower split, shit the bed basically, can't build muscle, recovery is terrible, and their lean mass is not going up, to still training 4 days, but changing the split up. So we're not doing these massive lower leg day, like lower body days, which can be quite taxing. And then all of a sudden their body goes boom, 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 and they're responding. So recovery is a big part of it as well. If you're not actually structuring your training, listening to your recovery. So yes, supporting it with sleep and nutrition, but the actual structure of your training, if you're not structuring that in a way that you are capable of recovering from, it's going to hinder your lean mass gains. So therefore, if you are trying to do a body recomp process and your health isn't optimal, your hormones aren't optimal, your gut isn't great, and then you're having energy crashes, and then you add on top of that, you're training 5-6 days a week, you're doing 3, 4, 5 sets, you're hitting every muscle group every day, all these sorts of things that add to really poor recovery in the training structure, you're going to find it very difficult to do a body recomposition process. Again, not off the table completely. I'm not saying that you can't. I think what we're being sold is how easy it is. And it's just not. Once you're not a newbie and you don't have a high body fat percentage, it's just not that easy. So we touched on your experience. So you're no longer a newbie. Then the other one would be you're already quite lean. Maybe you're sitting below that 25% body fat. Maybe you're sitting more towards 20 and you just haven't had the right structure and nutritional guidance to build the lean mass. So you're actually quite lean in body fat. I find the typical woman I work with is a 40 plus perimenopausal women, usually quite driven women, career women, type A personalities, go, 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 go. Nothing's hard and they push, push, push. But then they're also going, oh, I'm eating clean. Or, they're really good at restricting. So they've never given their body a chance to actually grow muscle, or they're eating clean, being they're eating all these salads and kale that actually aren't nourishing their body or giving them the fuel to grow the muscle. And it's under eating essentially. They're under fueled for their output in nutrition and in calories. So they tend to be lower in the body fat, right? And if they're lower in the body fat because they're not nourishing well, then they're going to find it really, even if they're, on that, 1 year, 2 year mark, they're still going to find it difficult to build that muscle because they're already quite lean. So experience and body fat. So I've spoken about, high body fat is where it's easy to do recomp. Lower body fat, it makes it harder. I've spoken about experience. Newbies can do body recomposition really easily. But if you are someone who is beyond that 1 year, 2 year, I'd say 2 years, up to 2 years, you should be able to recomp your body. But beyond 2 years of training, you might be beyond the experience to actually do a body recomposition. And then the other one, and this one's a really, really, really big one, It doesn't matter about your experience or your level of body fat. If you have spent years depleting yourself through lack of boundaries and giving to your family and your children and your friends and everyone around you and never saying no. You live in a high stress all the time where you've got no boundaries with work. You're putting out for everyone. You're not getting enough sun. You're not getting enough nutrition. You're not getting enough energy. All of these things create stress within your body, and you're metabolically downregulated because of this constant stress, particularly my driven type A ladies, my high achievers, my career-driven women. They are the ones that tend to be more like this because they are just constantly either restricting or being disciplined, eating clean, and then their output, they're just wired to always give. They're wired to just push through. So they tend to lack boundaries that care for themselves. They tend to undernourish. They tend to have a high activity output just because, they're like a go, 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 go person. You'll find that they don't even sit still at home in front of the TV much or scroll much, that they're always pottering around the house and doing dishes and rearranging the cupboard and out in the garden. Like they just are a high energetic person. And if that is you and you haven't been able to get the body composition results that you want, that is, you're finding it really hard to build that muscle, you could have a compromised body to start with. Okay. And I know I went through adrenal fatigue. So went through high cortisol and then it tanked me altogether. And I pretty much was at low cortisol, resulting in adrenal fatigue. My body was never going to build muscle in that state, regardless of training age and body fat, just wasn't going to build muscle. So how are you going to do body recomposition if you can't build muscle? What we need to remember is muscle is a luxury item for our body. So let's take the analogy, and I've used this a lot before, the analogy of muscle is the Gucci handbag and your body has the electricity bill to pay. So your nutrients coming in is your currency. Okay. And then the bills and the luxury items that you purchase are the currency that goes out to purchase them. And if you don't get enough currency coming in, so energy, nutrients, as in vitamins, minerals in the right amounts, recovery, sleep, if you're not getting enough of that coming in, that you're barely paying the electricity bill, which is your survival systems, lady. The electricity bill is your survival systems. So your respiratory, your immune system, your cardiac, brain function, like just keeping you alive. If you've barely got enough nutrients and energy coming in to pay the electricity bill or keep you alive, you would not go out and buy the Gucci handbag if you couldn't pay your electricity bill. And that's exactly what your body does. It knows to prioritize for survival. And muscle is expensive to grow and it's expensive to hold. So it is not going to grow additional tissue if it doesn't have enough to pay the electricity bill. It's not going to go buy the Gucci handbag if it can't pay the electricity bill. So I want you to have a think about that when everyone's talking about, eat more, eat more, eat more, fuel your training. This is essentially, this is what they're not explaining to you, that you haven't got enough for the survival systems. So it will take from other things. It won't grow additional tissue because additional tissue means it needs more calories to survive, more calories to hold. So whatever your weight is takes a certain amount of calories, about 1,200. If you were to lie in bed, not move and just breathe, about 1,200 calories. Okay. And then on top of that, you've got additional muscle, you've got all your incidental movement, you've got training, you've got digesting of food, all these different things that go on once you start to get out of that bed and eat and drink and survive, basically, and go about life. So 1,200 calories is the base, but the more of your body there is. So here's a really good example. I currently eat about 2,400 calories. I sit at around the 18-20% body fat. I'm pretty strong. If I want to sit leaner, if I want to get down towards the 15 body fat, I actually can't eat 2,400 calories anymore because there's just less of me, essentially. So I've got to eat more the 2,200. So the less of you is the less amount you need. So your body is always looking at that. So it's not going to, if you're not getting enough, whether it's calories or whether it's actually nutrients, it's not going to build additional tissue, which is adding to your body, which is requiring more to survive if it's not surviving well already. Okay. And then on top of that, muscle, like I said, is the Gucci handbag. It's actually quite expensive to build and it's quite expensive to maintain in comparison to body fat. All right. So we need to make sure that we're nourishing ourselves. But at the end of the day, if you are, and this is also where exacerbated perimenopause symptoms come from, is from a lack of nutrients and energy going into the body. You are not optimized because, again, if you don't have enough for survival, which is immune, cardiac, brain function, all those things that I've spoken about, they're the survival mechanisms. It's not going to allow your body the luxury items and sex hormones. It doesn't matter that you're going through a time of life where they start to decline. Perimenopause is starting to decline. You actually still are in reproductive times, even though it's not optimal and it's starting to decline, you are still in a reproductive phase. Okay? Now, reproductive means you can grow a baby. That's definitely additional tissue. That is much more expensive than muscle, isn't it? And it also means that you're not going to be able to help that baby survive on the outside by milk production. Did you know breastfeeding actually uses more calories to breastfeed a baby than it actually does to grow the baby? Something to think about. So what the body does is it doesn't give vitamins and minerals to muscle growth. It doesn't give vitamins and minerals to sex hormones. So this is where perimenopause comes from. You've been so dysregulated for so long that it's underfeeding this little ecosystem that is so finely balanced that it doesn't shuffle vitamins and minerals into it, because it doesn't matter if that little system falls apart, reproduction, because you can't survive yourself. Can you see where I'm going here with this? That if your body is under chronic stress, whether it is calories, nutrients, sunlight, sleep, hormones going wild in perimenopause, they are all things telling you that your body is not getting enough of something. It is not going to allow you to function optimally, build extra tissue, create new life, so it pulls away from those systems. All right. So if you're in a compromised body that is under chronic stress, even emotional stress. So if you're in an unhappy relationship, or if you're in a job that always makes you feel terrible, if we're not addressing a lot of these stresses emotionally, that also can deplete us as well. And it makes it very, very hard to build lean tissue. And then so your body will also hold on to fat more easily because it's a less expensive tissue to hold on to. And it's also emergency energy stores. So that's why your body holds it, because your body is feeling stress. Again, stress can mean many things. It can mean sunlight, nutrients, overall energy, emotional stress. It doesn't matter what it is. It affects all the systems in your body, and all the systems in our bodies are interlinked. So that is the third thing that compromises us when we are trying to do body recomposition. Now, if you are falling into one of those three categories of experience, already lean or compromised, then body recomposition is going to be a lot more difficult. What I use a lot with ladies who are more experienced, so they might, I'm going to use an example here. Mel, she came to me never having lifted before, wanted to learn how to lift, wanted to feel great in her body again. And as time went on and she started to see the muscle growth, she did an optimized phase with me. So we got her really healthy. And in that time, she was starting to build muscle, learning how to train properly. So she optimized all of that. And then when she got to a certain place where she'd been growing some muscle, we went, right, okay, let's bring your body fat down because it's a little bit high. So we did a deficit phase with her. And then we went back into, let's go back into more of like a maintenance style and just push that muscle growth again. Then we did a second deficit. So she is now 18 months down the track. And she trains really hard and she's looking fantastic, but she wants to take that body fat, that sub 20. So she sits around 20% body fat now. So now she's lean. Now she's got close to 2 years experience of training under her. So she's got two of the three factors that make it harder to grow muscle mass and lose body fat at the same time. It makes it harder for her to do a body recomposition process. So I do A lot of people in the industry will call it lean builds, but essentially what we're doing is we're eating at maintenance and we chase that. So when the hunger goes up or we see the weight starting to drop or something, or the body fat starting to drop down or the muscle mass stopping to grow, we increase the calories again. But what we're doing is we're keeping you at maintenance. So body recomp is you're just under maintenance. So your body is actually losing fat. But if you're truly at maintenance and you chase that and you stay at maintenance, your body fat won't go up, but you will build the muscle, the lean mass. And that's what I've been doing with a number of my clients. And yes, Mel was a great example because she came from, doing those other processes. She did some recomping while we optimized her, but then we really wanted to get the body fat down some more. So we did a dedicated deficit phase. Then she went back to, training really hard and, a small recomp. It was, the body fat wasn't coming down as fast anymore, but she was still growing, which was great. Did another deficit and she got down to the 20%. Now she wants sub 20%. So she's pretty lean already. And now she's like 18 months into training and she knows how to train really hard. That to fuel that training, we just have to keep her on that line of maintenance all the time. So when we look at her graphs, her weight is trending up. Okay. And for some people, that would really freak them out. And this is why we don't just use the scale. This is why we use other units of measure, other data, okay, to make sure that we know what's going on in the body. So she is optimized. She's got great health. She feels herself really well. We're always making tweaks, to improve things. If she's feeling something, she'll come back to me and go, oh, I'm feeling a bit, lethargic at this time of the day. I think I need to. So we, look at the structure of her food and, maybe she needs some more simple carbs going into training for that quick hit. Maybe she's changed the time of training, for a few weeks because of something going on in her life. So we're always adapting to that, listening to her body feedback, and then watching the data. And what we want to continue to see is that if her weight's trending up, we're not worried about that. And yes, it is a mental struggle. And Mel and I have frequent conversations where she's like, oh, the scale, that's okay. We do the mental gymnastics around that and she comes back down again because I am detached from it. I'm able to help support her through those moments. But the scale is going up. But then when we look at the other data and we graph it, the body fat hasn't gone anywhere. It's stayed. It has stayed at between 19.5 and 21.5% body fat. She's just got a little range in there. And that's where she stays. Yet when we look at the muscle mass graph, it is trending up at the same rate that her body weight is going up because we are holding the body fat. So if you have experience or you are on the leaner side, you actually may need a true maintenance phase where you push and drive muscle mass. If you were to add something like a compromised body on top of it, well, one, you need to optimize first, but then you may also need a little bit of a surplus because it takes time that even once we're optimized, it takes time to build resiliency again. So when I went through that adrenal fatigue, even on the other side of it, to build muscle, I required a surplus, a proper surplus to actually build muscle because my body just hadn't been resilient. It wasn't ready to be pushed that hard. It needed lots and lots to get me there. And even then, the gains weren't as much as they could be in someone that hasn't got that lack of resiliency. So your history is a big player in this. And I think everyone is being sold the whole body recomposition as the holy grail. And then we feel like a failure when it doesn't work, when actually we haven't looked at the nuance around your body, your life, your training experience. Currently, where are you at in body fat percentage? What is your health like? There are so many different things that go into it. So if you have been drawn into the body recomposition narrative and you can't work out why, but you have got a leaner, you don't have a body fat problem and you've been training for a little bit, or maybe you've been under a lot of stress or a chronic dieter for quite some time trying to get the body that you want, then body recomposition actually might not be the position for you. You might actually need to do some some more specific phasing where we keep you at maintenance and grow the muscle, but don't allow the body fat to go up. Maybe you're someone who needs a surplus. They are few and far between. I'll be honest. You've got to be more on the advanced side. I would say that really wouldn't occur until you're someone who's deadlifting 100 kilos for reps, and then probably some, stressful life, body, some history there. But at the end of the day, if you are feeling like you're not hitting that body recomposition and you're doing everything that you're told on Instagram to do, then these could be some key factors here that could be influencing you. So I want you to have a think about that. If any of this struck a chord with you and you want to understand it more, whether it's about the data that you should be tracking, maybe that struck a chord with you and you're going, oh, well, I only weigh myself. Maybe I should be looking at more. Maybe it's about your resiliency. Maybe it's about, compromised body, any of those things. If any of this, or you're just trying to recomp and you actually don't know which one applies to you, just send me a DM on Instagram. I love chatting with ladies in there, helping them see some areas where they can improve or what they could be in targeting to start getting some results. Because let's face it, once we hit 40, do we really want to fuck around anymore, wasting time trying to guess our way through this, take generic information that doesn't fit our body or our life, and then in 12 months' time go, well, that didn't work? We don't have another 12 months. It's never too late to start. But I do believe that we are running out of time to get outstanding results. It gets harder and harder the further down you go. So you need stop wasting time. Stop spending years. If you've already been in the gym for months, a year, maybe even 2 years, and you're not seeing the result that you think you should be getting, please reach out and I'll help you diagnose some areas where you could implement some really quick, easy strategies that can get your body moving in the right direction. So if any of this hit, please take a screenshot, share my podcast on Instagram and tag me at strengthtraining.nutritionist. And if you are recomping, congratulations, you have hit the holy grail and well done. But if not, reach out to me and let's see what we can do to get you moving in the right direction.